But that brings us, we're going right back to the draft talk, Soapy, and we're going to the New York Knickerbockers, where Dave and I have talked about them before. Knicks fans, you know what I'm talking about, that the New York Knicks are going to make a trade. They're going to send the 8th overall pick. They are going to send a plethora of future draft picks over to the Minnesota Timberwolves. They are going to take the number 1 pick in the draft, and they are going to go with LaMelo Ball. Like, that's going to happen. We don't have to talk about this, do we? However, we do. Because there's an article from NBC Sports that basically is curating Mark Berman from the New York Post, and this is what Berman says. It doesn't mean the Knicks will pick him, meaning Killian Hayes, if he falls to number 8 in the NBA draft. But Killian Hayes currently has a narrow edge as the team's second point guard on the board after LaMelo Ball, according to NBA sources. Hayes, the 19-year-old left-hander who played in Germany last season, is considered to have a more supreme skill set than the other lottery-projected point guards such as Tyrese Halliburton, Kira Lewis Jr., Cole Anthony, R.J. Hampton, Theo Maledon. And they put Tyrese Maxey down here, but dude, you lying. He ain't no point guard. He's a 2. So basically, Soapy, is Killian Hayes going to the Knicks? Is that what this means?
I mean, that's if he falls to him. You know, let's not act like the Pistons are right in front of him, and we're basically licking our chops to even get a point guard in this draft. Basically,
hey man, you could go with
this is my public service announcement.
Tankathon has you going Isaac Okoro.
Yeah, and Tankathon can go fuck themselves because we ain't doing that. See, okay, I'm saying it right now, and I'll fucking say it till the day I die.
Right.
We ain't taking Okoro. We ain't taking Okongwu. Why the fuck do we need defense? Who the fuck are they gonna guard? We're tanking, baby. We're going for Cunningham next year.
Going for Cade Cunningham.
Yeah, we need Cunningham. We need fucking somebody. The only reason why I always hate whenever they have Okoro or like Okongwu falling to us is this is the thing. I'm not saying they're bad players. Yeah. Obviously, I'm a big Okoro hater. But it's one of those things that, like, in this draft, we're looking for someone who can be, like, currently a focal point of an offense. Like, right now, we're looking for a player that is going to be, like, be able to run an offense. Obviously, right now, I'm only talking about the Pistons. I'll get to the Knicks in a second.
Yeah.
And basically, that's why I don't think Hayes is going to fall to them. Because I think either Halliburton or Hayes is going to be taken by us. I don't think Halliburton goes that high.
Yeah.
But, on to the Knicks. I think this would be a good option for him. Obviously, once again, the Knicks kind of have a weird spot. Like, I think they're in a weird spot with their guards because it's like obviously a lot of us are still high on Frank, but once again, I don't know if the organization is or not because he doesn't get minutes. Like, obviously, I think Elfrid Payton's still under contract. I think
he is.
Yeah. So obviously, if you want to hold down the fort one more year. With Peyton, he can do that. But once again, I don't hate Peyton. Like, I think Peyton could be one of those backup point guards who is solid. And for instance, you can draft the guy to take his place in Hayes. I think either, like I said, I think Hayes or Halliburton is falling this far. Like, my whole thing is I don't think that Halliburton or Hayes are going in the top 6. I mean, maybe one of them I think will go, but I don't think both go.
Yeah, and Kingy, getting the New York Knicks fan, he says, no, we not. Frank can kick rocks.
Oh, man, dude. So, in the chat for Frank.
Right now, Dennis Smith, Frank, and Elfrid Payton all under contract. I feel like the Knicks, in my mind, the Knicks need to trade. Like, in order to get a point guard, the Knicks either have 2 options for me. They can either trade up anywhere, 1, 2, 4. Like, they can trade up and get a point guard, or they can stay at 8 and take an R.J. Hampton, who apparently, in some rumors, they've been really high on R.J. Hampton. I think they could take him at 8, but however, if I'm taking an R.J., I maybe trade down a little bit, maybe trade with a team we're talking about in the last segment of the show, trade down, then take RJ, get some more draft picks for the future, like they need those. Because in my mind, you have, so Number one is interesting because is someone going to trade up for like a LaMelo Ball? We'll see. If LaMelo's there at 3, the Hornets should take him. If LaMelo is there, like even if LaMelo's not there at 4, word is that the Bulls, if they do not move up, that the Bulls are high on Tyrese Halliburton. So that's 2 point guards that could potentially be gone by 4. I hope the fucking Cavs don't take another point guard. If they do, then Jesus Christ, we're going for an all point guard lineup out there in Cleveland.
Hey man, dude, someone on that team has to pass the fucking ball. No one on the team has the A button on their controller.
But like for me, I think the 3 point guards at the top, Halliburton, Hayes, and LaMelo, are all going to be gone. And the reason why I say that is LaMelo ain't getting past 4. Like, if he slides to the Bulls, he ain't getting past 4. Let's say the Bulls don't go at Halliburton or Hayes, and they go somewhere else. Well, I think that the Hawks, they could be a team that takes Tyrese Halliburton, because one of the best things I like about Halliburton is, we've talked about it before on the show today, he can play the 1, he can play the 2, he could be a guy that you put in some like rotational situations, you put him in to be the point guard with the second unit, but then in some situations on the floor, you put him into situations where he's next to Trae Young, and you could work it that way to where it's like you can pick and choose when he's a 1 and when he's a 2 in the rotation. And there's no way the Pistons don't take a point guard in my mind, whether it's Hayes, whether it's Halliburton, either one of those two. If they are available at 7, they are going to be going to the Detroit Pistons, to D-Town, to where I'm at the fact where none of those guys are going to get to you. So you either have the decision of trading down and getting a Kira Lewis, getting a Cole Anthony, getting an RJ Hampton, like I said, who apparently the Knicks have interviewed and been high on as well. You either stay at 8 and take, I think, a Devin Vassell would work very well for them. I feel like Okoro or Vassell would be good picks if they're at 8 non-point guard, because Okoro with Tom Thibodeau would be absolutely nasty. I know Kingy said Frank can kick rocks, but let's see what Frank is able to do with Coach Tom Thibodeau kind of unlocking more of his defensive potential. I know people are going to say, Ricky, defense ain't his problem, though. Offense is the problem. Or even Vassell, where he's got more of an offensive game, but maybe Thibodeau can make his defensive play even better, to where either of those two guys would fit at 8. Or the other choice is to trade up in the draft and try to take one of these 3 guys. So, like, I do agree with you. Ball, Hayes, Halliburton aren't even going to be there at 8 for the Knicks to even think about.
Well, no, see, I think at least one of them falls to them.
Do you?
Because I don't think the Cavs take, like, I don't, like,
No.
if, let's say Ball somehow falls to the Bulls. Ball's on a 4.
Yeah.
I think then the Cavs would take Denny.
Yeah.
I think the Hawks, in my opinion, would probably take Isaac Okoro, because they need someone on that fucking team to play defense. Like, I know they have DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish, but it's one of those things, adds an extra level, like, next level defender to really cover for Trae's weakness.
Yeah.
To where then that gets to 7. The Pistons then have the choice of either Halliburton or Hayes, whoever they want to take. I personally would rather take Hayes, just because I think he has a higher ceiling. And I think it's also, we're still in a position we can just shoot our shot, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so that just means Halliburton falls to them. Like, I think, I don't think there's a lot of teams above that take a point guard.
Soapy. I got my remote here, right?
Yeah.
I'm hitting the rewind button on you.
All right.
Let's say LaMelo doesn't go 4 and he goes 3. How does that that's to me LaMelo falling to 4, it has such a low probability to where, although I would love him to go 4 to the Bulls, I don't think LaMelo falls past the Hornets if he's there. If the Hornets go with LaMelo, how does that change things? Because really, it depends on what the Bulls and the Hawks do.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, I think the Bulls would just go with Denny.
Uh-huh.
I think then the Cavs in that situation, I think, would go Devin Vassell.
Are we then thinking Wiseman and Edwards go 1-2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like interchangeable 1-2, no matter where you're.
Okay. No trades.
It's basically whoever ends up on the Warriors is going to get their potential unlocked because you're playing with a fucking absolute god squad.
Yeah.
But, like, for instance, I think Devin Vassell then would go 5. Like, I know some people would probably be like, that's way too high for Vassell. The only thing is, I honestly think the Cavs are probably like, fuck it. We've taken too many guards. Yeah, I think, we'll see. I think Vassell or Okoro can go there.
You know who I like there also? Toppin, who we talked about.
True. See, I have Toppin dropping part of there.
Mm-hmm.
But, for instance, I think 5 and 6 back to back is going to be Okoro or Vassell.
Okay.
Whoever goes where. And I still think the 2 point guards drop. And it's just because I don't, like, right now, to me at least, I think the Hornets would try their best to see if Cam Reddish can play the 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously right now you have Cam Reddish.
You mean the Hawks?
Same position. Yeah, that's my bad. Whatever. They're both flying things. They both start with an H. It's just one's a lot bigger than the other one.
One's got feathers. One's got scales. Do Hornets have scales?
No, they have those stupid fucking wings, and there's the whole stupid joke about the laws of aviation.
To where their bodies are too heavy for their fucking wings.
Or at least for bumblebees. It's the law, by all laws of aviation, a bee should not be able to fly because its fat ass shouldn't be able to be held up by its wings.
But it does. It's a miracle of the universe. But yeah, I don't know. I have a hard time seeing how one of those point guards gets to the Knicks. But it's possible.
Yeah. And once again, and obviously I'm not saying my mock is 100% what's gonna happen. Because for instance, I think we could see the Cavs take Obi.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fuck. Who knows? The Cavs may be like, all right, fuck it. We'll do what the 76ers did. Just keep drafting the same position till we hit.
Mm-hmm.
But technically, they already kind of hit with Colin Sexton.
So, I'll ask you this though: if you're disregard what the rumors say, if you're the Knicks, who would you rather have, Killian Hayes or Tyrese Haliburton?
See, that one's tough, and that mostly just comes down to the fact of I think Haliburton's a much safer player.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, personally for me, it just, in my whole thing is, I think Hayes will be a better player, because I think Hayes has a much higher ceiling, but I also think there is the potential that Hayes doesn't pan out offensively in the NBA as much as we want him to. Yeah. And while I think Hayes is going to be, if I was the Knicks, I'd go Haliburton. And it's because I think he pairs better with RJ.
Yes.
Because...
Yes.
my whole thing is just... RJ seems like one of those players, and obviously I'm not a Knicks fan. I don't watch the Knicks. So, obviously, take my opinion with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
RJ seems like one of those players he massively is going to benefit with the ball in his hands.
Good point.
And I think taking the ball out of his hands and giving it to someone like Hayes, obviously, it's going to create off-ball movement for him. Because I think Tibbs is going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But I think, for instance, right now, getting him into a situation where he's going to be able to play with a player who's going to be able to accentuate his strengths, aka RJ Barrett's cutting.
Yeah.
Haliburton's going to draw enough attention from defenders where they're going to be like, okay, we can't leave him up. He's not Elfrid Payton. They're not going to be like, all right, guys, back into the paint.
Well, the thing that I look at is I say Tyrese Haliburton too. And the main reason is, Soapy, I'm gonna let people behind the curtain here. So this Monday, my draft videos are coming out, right? It's actually, I'll fucking release the news right now, is for anyone watching this on YouTube or Twitch who is not a patron, next week is kind of going to be a preview week where there's going to be videos. So basically it's the top 10 picks will be talked about and revealed by me. And those are all going to be for everyone. So it's kind of like hey, if you're a non-patron, there are fucking 2 more of these every day going up for patrons. So next week, patrons are going to be able to see the first 20 picks of my draft. And then it's basically everyone else just sees the top 10. And then the next week, patrons get the whole draft to them, where fucking the rest of everyone has to wait. And on my notes for Halliburton when it comes to the Knicks, here's what it says. This is the last bullet point I have. It says, the Knicks need a point guard. ... Duh. Halliburton would be a better option compared to Hayes next to R.J. Barrett. Halliburton is a good passer and has a better off-ball game, which could mesh better with R.J. Because the thing with Killian Hayes is he's a creator offensively, has a potential to be an elite passer. Yes, he's good in transition. Yes, he's got high basketball IQ. He's also an average to an above average defender. But you've got Halliburton, who makes good decisions, is already an elite passer, I would say. High basketball IQ when it comes to offense and defense, and doesn't need the ball in his hands. Doesn't need the ball in his hands, and like when it comes to defense, he's very smart in team defense, and can make those high level reads that would just get unlocked with Coach Thibodeau being there for the Knicks. So like for me, I would like Halliburton would be the guy I go to. I don't think Halliburton or Hayes are going to be there at 8 for the Knicks, but ultimately I think they trade up to number 1 to get LaMelo Ball. If you had to put a final kibosh on the Knicks of like predicting the future, what do you think happens to them with the 8th overall pick?
I would probably say if you start feeling uncomfortable that Halliburton's not going to be there, I would say maybe consider trying to move up with the Pistons, because obviously, like I said, personally with my draft,
with the Pistons or above the Pistons?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like with the Pistons, just basically swap picks.
Okay.
And obviously, like once again, that also makes me sad. I mean, once again, if it's my mock draft, we just get whoever the other point guard is.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's one of those things of the reason why, and I know there's going to be people who are Killian Hayes fans out there.
Yeah.
And that are going to like shit on me and be like, oh, I can't believe you're saying that about like Halliburton. The whole thing is like, I stand by my point. I think Hayes will be a better player in the long run. But I think if RJ Barrett is your number 1 guy, if you believe he is going to be the face of your franchise and like the best player on your team, you need talent around him. Halliburton is a player I don't think you can pass up if you're the Knicks. Obviously, as much as I'd love the absolute fucking hype beast of having Obi Toppin on that team, you can pass on him. There will be another player like Obi Toppin in the next year's draft.
I think Obi might be... Obi... I don't know. Obi could be taken before them, but to be honest, he might even fall to like the Wizards or lower. Like,
oh, don't worry. It's I was going to say this in the Obi Toppin segment. You want me to get everyone pissed off at me?
Sure, go ahead. I love it.
My fucking and this could be the last thing I say. So I was thinking about comparisons for players, and I came to a conclusion for who Obi Toppin reminds me of.
Who?
Kyle Kuzma.
No,
he's Kyle Kuzma, dog.
No, he's not.
Scores in all 3 levels. Ain't play no defense.
Nope. I ain't having none of that shit. Fucking nope. Not having that slander on this pod. I don't want to pull a Dave, but it's almost like, hey, Soapy, thanks for being on the show today. I'll finish this one by myself.
Nope, dog. I'm sticking with it. I love Obi. But I gotta hit him with it, dude.
And just to answer Kingy's question, because I've mentioned this on a past show, but I'll mention it now because I've made the call twice.
I think what he's mean, by the way, I think he's talking about just moving up with the Pistons, like basically us swapping picks.
Oh yeah, how much you asking for then? I thought he was talking about to move up to number 1.
See, that's the exact thing that I'm not exactly sure of. Because the whole thing is, I think right now we would probably just ask for 2nd-round picks, to be honest. Like, I don't know if we try to move anyone else. I mean, dude, fuck. Like,
so,
I almost
said
Luke Kennard, and I'm like, I ain't moving Kennard.
Slow your roll. You're telling me if you're the Pistons, you don't do maybe something like what the Hawks and the Kings did? Because that was I think 2 picks in between, or 1 pick in between them. I would at least try to say, hey, I want we'll swap picks. You get the 7th, we get the 8th. And then basically at that point, it's like, would the Knicks be okay giving up their own draft pick next year? or would it have to basically be Detroit would have to be okay with, basically is it, we'd have to be, the Pistons would have to be okay taking this year's pick and then Dallas's pick next year.
I mean, my only thing is, though, I don't know if they give up 2 picks.
I mean,
like 2 first-round picks just to move up 1. Like, that's my only thing.
I'm telling you, when the Hawks and Kings did it in the Luka Trae Young deal.
Yeah, but one's fucking Vlade Divac and the other one's Tom Gores. So Tom Gores is alcoholic as fuck.
Oh, I know. But that's just the basis I'm making off is the swap this year and a pick next year.
Technically, it's not even Gores.
Yeah.
No, I think it's right now. It's basically both teams are in like very similar positions. Like obviously, it sounds weird to say. I feel like the Knicks are in a better position than the Pistons. It's just we make the Knicks sound worse because they're a bigger team.
Yeah. I mean,
I think it's one of those
the bigger market, and we love to clown on the Knicks because they never win the draft lottery, and basically, I would have loved Zion with the Knicks. I was calling Kevin Durant and Kyrie to go to New York. I didn't think they were going to go to Brooklyn, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Knicks and Soapy.